I've been asked, so why do you always use yourself as an example? I use myself as an example because there's a nuance in the behavior and these applicable life skills in terms of one being a humanist, and that's the overall macro, but then the micro is fully functional and reanimated in terms of living in full AfriKAN-centered life skills. And I know that I can't direct you to anyone because I can't be responsible for what you experience in their spaces. I can't be responsible for what they'll say. I can't be responsible for the day that they're having so they decide to behave this way and not that way. I don't have days like that. I have 35 years. Anything you practice, you get good at. So this is, people have even mistaken their wrongdoings that they know in their hearts and minds and spirits that they've done me wrong, but because they don't experience the energy shift in me, they don't really know how to behave with it. So they just feel like I'm going along to get along with them, which I'm actually giving them grace and an opportunity to redirect themselves because I honor and respect them. So I don't have to tell them what to do. I don't have to direct them. I'm actually being the difference. So even if you didn't know what to do, you can now look at me. You can refer to me in a way that is impactful and will shift your behavior. But you know what they do? They brush over it because their concern is avoiding blame, avoiding embarrassment. So they just go along to get along and they leave gaps of time and they just show back up like, ha ha ha. And I'm like, well, let me give them grace and see has things gotten better. So I have to use myself as an example because I've done this work and I've done the full gamut of the work for over 35 years because my energy is in integrity with my rhetoric, is in integrity with my daily application, is in integrity with the things I think, is in integrity with the things I say. And I cannot account for anybody else's behavior in that way. This society has allowed for a lot of confusion, a lot of gray areaing, and a lot of dysfunctional ways of thinking that doesn't allow people to gain full balance and harmony in the ITN way for all of these faculties. And because people have personal deficits and inadequacies, they make room for sloth. They make room for trimming a little off the side here, make a little grade on the curve here, cut a little bit off the side there, let me just slide through over here. See, we do a lot of that in our society, and none of those things will help the African gain sovereignty, independence, create order in our community, maintain value systems that will support our collective growth and prosperity. Those things won't do it. So what I've done is I found the solutions and I strategized and I researched and I applied and I did it myself and I applied it to my lived experience. And I will tell you that I found nearly 100% of the time, people fall short on just the basics. The basics. We have not gotten to any of the big stuff yet. The basics. I'm not talking about the bells and whistles and clap it up since you get from the Matrix, because that is a part of the confusion that makes people think that they've leveled up or that they've grown. You haven't grown because you're not making decisions from an African prism. You don't engage within relationship in integrity and with wisdom, right? You're not consistent in your behavior. You're doing something that we call shuffling papers. You look busy, moving and doing stuff, but it's not creating a single brick is being laid towards becoming fully functional, reanimated African, or supporting others to that end. See, but because we like the brouhaha and because this entire society is based on theatrics, it's based on the show, it's based on propaganda and pretend. And because now everyone has such weak minds and a very small degree of self-regulation, if something is difficult, we just skirt it. We don't like it. Matter of fact, in today's world, we demonize things that's right because we don't like it. Because we get that little swirl and tinge in our stomachs. Because we get a little anxiety, our little armpits start getting a little sweaty. I suffer from generalized anxiety. I happen to be a late diagnosis. But so I've lived with this for my entire life. And when I tell you that people have made my life extremely difficult on so many occasions, because of their own inadequacies, their own deficits, their lack of integrity, their lack of commitment to being namaste the divine in me, honors and respect the divine in me. You can't say you stand for humanity, but you won't give me the right to see clearly by being transparent. You can't say that. Being deceptive means you don't honor me. This is why I am transparent. I come to you and I have my cards laid on the table. See, but everyone wants to tout the 48 laws of power. Like that's a book of manifest for African people. It is entirely dysfunctional. But you know how many black people have told me that they salute that book? So when you ask me why do I use myself as an example, I happen to have done the work. Plain and simple. I can stand in integrity under scrutiny, under my own metrics. Integrity, my thoughts, my speak, my actions are consistent 99.99999% of the time. I'm gonna leave that 0.0001% of the time for the sneaky deception that may possibly well up that comes out of epigenetic trauma. But my conscious, coherent, everyday behavior, absolutely not. It's not acceptable. I don't give it, therefore I don't accept it. I do, however, make a fair amount of space for grace, but once you run out of your grace, you zero it out. I got to move on. There's 9 billion people on the planet. I hold space, I hold hope, I hold the highest amount of fervor for our possibility in that. We do it, and I stand behind that. But you know what? I have looked at the face of another African and found disappointment and immense heartbreak. Immense. Because we are not in integrity with this work. One, I actually realized, I don't care, Dr. Soul, bells and whistles, clap it up, since and all the alphabets, we really don't have an applicable, today, 2024, functional understanding of what an African-centered consciousness and value systems actually are. Now, we had a lot of elders, Dr. Ben, Dr. Asa Hilliard, we had Baba Khalid Muhammad, we had Baba Malcolm X, we had Baba Marcus Garvey, who gave us foundation, and many more, Steve Biko, Kwame Nkrumah. We have many who are ancestors who gave us the foundation of what true commitment and what your mind, heart, and spirit should be doing if you are on par for African-centered life skills. We watered that down because we let all kinds of other foolishness slip on in there and do all of those things that has shifted the way we operate. So what you see people doing today, there's a lot of clapping up going on for it. 90% of it is a subterfuge. That's not gonna get you to African-centered life skills. There is a maintenance conversation and there's a long-term strategy. And your maintenance conversation still has to be in integrity, has to be transparent, has to be authentic for your mouth, your spirit, and your energy. And so does your strategy forward. So in case you didn't know what the metrics is, in case no one told you what it really should look like, that's it. And we have those elders to look to for that behavior. I'm not talking about anyone of today's space. And I know a lot of people look on themselves like they did it. I'm here to tell you there is a lot of inconsistency. And for African people, we really need to know what it is. We need to be aware of what it is so that we can identify it. We need to know the strategy towards getting out of it. And then we need to put the actions in place with consistent, sustained momentum towards blah, 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 blah. Oh, I got I got it for you for days. But I'm trying to start at a foundational base level so that I'm clear that we're all moving together as a movement. Peace, power, and blessings, African. I see you. Sawubona. And namaste, divine, and me honors and respect to divine and you. I'm your sister, Neferah, your Pan-African transformational coach and your minister of learning and development. We got to get these African-centered life skills down, baby. Peace, power, and blessings.